they moved a motion in 53 that Nigeria should be independent in 1956.
Yes.
Macpherson, the Governor General, could not fathom this. And the Northern said they were not ready for any independence. And the action group asked its members, led by Sir Adesoja Aderemi, to resign from the Federal Parliament. And this gave a constitutional logjam. As a matter of fact, on that day, Sardauna of Sokoto Ahmadu Bello, Usman Nagogo, the Emir of Zaria, and top politicians from the north wanted to end the Nigerian nation that day, that they will go back and will not come back again because they were humiliated at the train station.
Yes.
And the northern elements called them, and the British government called them that they are the owners of Nigeria. They don't need to be frightened.
Were they the owners of Nigeria?
By configuration, by British configuration. The British had skewed the Nigerian nation to favor the North.
In terms of size?
In terms of size that you cannot explain. And you know that the principle of demography, the principle of geography, is that the nearer you are to the savannah, to the desert, to the arid region, the lesser the population.
But in the case of the North?
That is the North. But in the case of the North, he defied all principles, all demographic principles from Mauritania. If you come from Mauritania to Cameroon, you are coming towards the coast, you will see that on that descending order, population increases. So when you are nearer the coast, there will be more population. But conversely, it was only in Nigeria that the nearer to the desert, the more the population. The nearer to the coast, the lesser the population.
How do you explain that?
How do we explain this? How do we say that there are 44 local governments in Kano State and there are 20 local governments in Lagos State?
Are you suggesting manipulation of figures?
Oh, the British manipulated. Look, the British, they were afraid of the likes of Obafemi Awolowo and Azikiwe, Anthony Enahoro and the likes.
Why?
Because they knew that they would not allow them to enjoy their interest in Nigeria, which was purely business, purely commercial.
Why would they not allow them? Were there something special about Awolowo, Azikiwe, and the others?
Because the South, according to them, was more enlightened than the northern region of Nigeria. You remember that the South, we had the first Nigerian lawyer, the first lawyer, there was no Nigeria, in 1861, when there was no Nigerian nation, in Sapara Williams, a Yoruba man. The North produced his first lawyer in the early 50s, in AGF Rasak, the father of the incumbent governor of Kwara State. The first private secondary school in the entire northern Nigeria was of a grammar school, which is just some few kilometers to Osogbo, that was founded in 1948.
Not even in the core north?
Not even in the core north. Ibadan Grammar School was founded in 1913 or thereabouts.
So haven't seen British manipulation.
So as a result of this British manipulation, they had a structure in mind. And the structure they had in mind was the structure of Great Britain. In Great Britain, we had England, Wales, and Scotland. They want to look at England from the prism of northern Nigeria, and Wales representing the south, the southwest, and Scotland representing the eastern region. There is no way, even up to today, that a man from Scotland or a Welsh will be Prime Minister of Britain without the support and endorsement of England. That is where there is even the seat of government. It must be at their terms, at their compromise. And that was England in the northern Nigeria. So they gave them a governor general that was malleable to their interests, Sherwood Smith, that would navigate the way for them.
And he did.
And he did. So they had a very, very comfortable majority in the federal parliament.
Even at independence, do not forget that the North did not gather enough votes to form a government.
The North could not gather enough votes, but the North had majority votes.
Fine.
And all they needed was just plenty votes from either the NCNC or the Action Group.
If the Action Group and the NCNC had gone into alliance, what would have happened?
If they had gone into an alliance, they could still not have matched the majority population of the majority membership of the northern Nigeria.
You know, some have argued that Azikiwe betrayed Awolowo because there was already an alliance talk at the time.
Even up to 1983, there were betrayers. In 1951-52, Akintola, Azikiwe, Nnamdi, Benjamin was to be the first premier of the Western region. He was a member of the House of Assembly in Ibadan, representing Mushin Ikeja State constituency. He had the support of the likes of Dr. Olorunimbe, of so many elites, Ogusanya, Tos Benson in Lagos. And on the day of election, because it was regional politics, the party that has the majority will produce the premier. Most of the members of the NCNC, as at that morning, that sat on the bench of the NCNC, decided to move one by one, will go and bow before Nnamdi Azikiwe and move towards the Awolowo side.
That's what is called carpet crossing.
And that was the beginning of the problems of Nigeria. A number of the members, like Emmanuel Ebubedike, a man from Ozumbra in Anambra, that represented Ajeromi Badagry State constituency, could not fathom what was happening. And 10 years thereafter, he unleashed the terror in his mind when there was problem in the House of Assembly. So, when you look at this and you look at the problems of Nigeria, the problems of Nigeria is multivarious. And Awolowo said, Nigeria is just a mere geographical expression.
Okay, let's come.
Sardauna said, 1914 was the mistake of Nigeria.
before 1914, when we landed in 1900, when I'm sure some of you might have heard about the Royal Niger Company, that the British had to pay £865,000 to take over the trading areas in what they consolidated in readiness for the annexation of Southern Protectorate with the Northern Protectorate. That question of paying £865,000 at that time, somebody bought something from somewhere, and that person is still the owner of that piece of estate. The Nigeria you have, yes, hold it there. The Nigeria you have is a joint venture. We've not moved from where we were as at that time they created the union. It was a business venture. It was the trade of the era to go to wherever you can, beat them down, take whatever you can. So the British, the French, everybody was doing their own everywhere. But what became Nigeria was where the British had come towards this axis, and they managed to make their first landings. I'm sure you know about the Lagos Colonial of 1861, how Kosoko and Dosumo, like that, the oil rivers. They came from the Atlantic waterfronts, entered into trade treaties and protection treaties with some of those trading partners in little bits and patches. Those treaties, dating back to the 1840s, 50s, 60s, and all of that, was what the British had in their hands at the time. They were pushing northwards. This is Atlantic. You see Lagos there, you see Port Harcourt here. This is the Atlantic waterfront. This British came. You can see that apart from River Niger, the map is divided into two sides. The British entered from this side, and all the parts in that lower part were already in their hands at the time. On the other side, I'm sure you all remember the jihad, which we still have. You remember that they were foreigners too who invaded, landed in Sokoto, 1804, and conquered the portion in green. The portion in green in your map. They overran them. 1804. The British came in the 1860s. That means they were here 60 years before the British got here. Now, having secured that portion that you see in green, they were pushing downwards. They also wanted to get to the Atlantic waterfront. The British wanted to get to what was left on the east. On the eastern side is Cameroon. On the northeastern side is Chad, then Niger, and then Benin Republic to the left. The French had already taken all of the other places. The British would have pushed all the way to here, if not for that caliphate that was already occupying here and pushing downwards. They met halfway in a fight that happened in the Ilorin-Benue axis. Caliphate coming to the ocean, the British trying to secure the balance of the land. After a short while, it occurred to them, we're on the same mission, oh boy. Two robbery gangs after the same target. Say, why do we fight ourselves? Why don't you bring what you have? I bring what I have. We consolidate it so that we can share the benefits of having it permanently. And that was what became the amalgamation of 1914. Every document that transpired between them is in our possession, lodged in libraries across the world. Whatever they choose to do is already too late to be able to reverse the actions that have been initiated to salvage ourselves from what they've landed us into. Now, having reached that agreement, I'm sure some of us recall when the Caliphate were talking about dipping their Quran into the Atlantic Ocean. That is, they were telling the British at the time this matter of Nigeria, because it was for them a matter of conquest. That is, they had to conquer. But the British came with something else. They said, well, whenever you guys are done with whatever you came to do, we'll push on until we dip our Quran into the Atlantic Ocean. Anybody here ever heard about that? Wonderful. Now, the document of the amalgamation was one in which, I'm sure, who are the ones from South Africa here? Good. The apartheid, what the Boers did in South Africa was exactly what the Fulani did with their British friends over our heads here to make this place their own over the heads of the owners of all the lands. A master-servant relationship. This is an excerpt from a telegram from the secretary for the colonies explaining what they were about to do, because they didn't tell anybody in southern Nigeria that they were going to lump us together with the people of the north. The discussion was strictly between them and that caliphate. It was a German newspaper that leaked it for the first time on the 26th of December in 1913. It took almost 15 years of day and night exchanges, meetings, travels to piece together all those parcels of land that came under those treaties. They didn't tell them where it was all going. Everybody thought they were still, the Shekiri thought they were still in their treaty. The Lagos colony thought they were still in their treaty. Everybody, the British was tiptoeing over their head, merging them. It was in 1906 that they merged the entire southern territories to become the protectorate of southern Nigeria. From that 1906, they then began to merge the systems, two mortally opposed civilizations, because on the other side, Sharia was already in place. They came as jihad. How do you create one political union with a group that owes it a duty of faith to kill the infidel? That duty never changes. No matter how you settle all the other things, the duty will never go away. You are the infidel, you have to be killed. They have a right in that their faith to lie to you. They call it taqiyya. They deceive you into thinking you are in another business until you get killed. And they are also of a feudalist worldview. You know what feudalism is? All men are not born equal. No matter what you do, what you achieve, you are no more than the slave you are to them, even if they have nothing or no education. Between the two, a terrible alchemy that as a slave, you dare not compete with your master for the ownership or control of whatever. The slave does not have a right to anything, no right to property, not even right to life. You can do away with your slave, kill your slave. And that was the civilization that was already in place, and the British knew. But they were also, they too were, what do we call them? They were feudalists too. And one thing led to the other. Eventually, they were able to piece it all together. That I'm now reading from that cablegram. Secretary of State, Secretary for the Colonies, his name was Harcourt, the one after which Port Harcourt was named. He says, in explaining what was about to happen the day before it did come public, that we have released northern Nigeria from the leading strings of the treasury. The promising and well-conducted youth is now on an allowance of his own and is about to effect an alliance with the Southern Lady of Means. I have issued the special license, and Sir Frederick Lugard will perform the ceremony. May the union be fruitful and the couple constant. Secretary for the Colonies, Lord Harcourt, boss of Lord Frederick Lugard, referring to the import and purport of the annexation of the then Protectorate of Southern Nigeria to the Protectorate of Northern Nigeria. So what they reported to you as amalgamation, as if there was some coming together of equals, was actually an annexation. And the purpose, what the British came to do, back to that map please, back to the map where, what the British came in search of were all on this axis. But the people they met here provided resistance. You know what they call resistance? They fought and fought and fought to make a landing. I'm sure there are Yoruba people here. I'm sure some of you have heard your song many times. If I begin it, will you be able to join me to end it? It begins, Eyo, 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 Bantawa, tó ń fi góòlù ń ṣeré, àwa ò lè sanwó ní bòde, òdìlé. The clause I want you to take from it. Àwa ò lè sanwó ní bòde, òdìlé. Your great-grandfathers fought the British for years and years, preventing them from landing. And your song you sang now was the victory song composed. We will never pay custom duty to these foreigners on our waters. Who has ever been to Lagos Island, the Victoria Island here? Does anybody know where Bonny Camp is? Does anybody know where Eco Hotel is? The road that goes from the front of Bonny Camp to Eco Hotel, what's the name of that road? Ahmadu Bello Way. When you stand on Ahmadu Bello Way, is there any other thing to do to go to the ocean? You are on the last firm piece of land before the Atlantic. Have they not dipped their Quran into the Atlantic? Who collects the rent? The landlord or whoever? It's not the landlord that collects the rent. They take away over 2 trillion from these port operations every year. I won't call it misfortune. It so happened that a few months after Tinubu handed over to Fashola, we were at an event. He sat next to me. He was to speak before me. He finished, and I took over the microphone, and I asked him, I said, Governor Emeritus, in the 8 years you were governor here, what was the maximum sum you got from federal allocation? He was quick to remember. There was 73 billion naira. I had documents with me in that event showing that in all those 8 years, Nigeria did not take away anything less than 1.6 trillion as from port operation alone. 10% of 1.6 trillion is 160 billion. 5% therefore, 80 billion. Lagos getting 73 billion in the maximum meant that Lagos in those 8 years did not get even 5% of what Nigeria was taken away from their place. The event collapsed. It was a blue roof in Ikeja here. The event collapsed when, amidst all that noise, because I had come to tell them what we were doing, that if we do not act together to recover this land, you are not only going to remain the slaves you have been since that time, they will kill you and take your land and become the new owners to eliminate future claims.
Greetings to viewers all over the world, and welcome back to Local Journal. We've heard the complaints. People are complaining about the fact that the British handed Nigeria over to the northern Fulani people, and this is making them feel like they own Nigeria and nobody can tell them anything, and that's the reason why the problem we're having in Nigeria still exists today. Honestly, this is not funny, and you know how the Fulanis have been attacking Nigerians and how they've been taking advantage of the fact that Nigerians are peaceful and peace-loving, and I feel like they already know this. They know that Nigeria belongs to them, or probably Nigeria was handed over to them by the British, and that's the reason why they are misbehaving. And you can see their body language and the way they behave in Nigeria. They feel like they are above the law and nobody challenges them. Even if they go to any place and do anything, they feel like they are born to rule. Their power belongs to them in Nigeria, and that's why you see that they will always want to be in power, even though it's not their turn to be in power. They want to continue ruling Their mentality is that power belongs to them in Nigeria. Nobody can come challenge them when it comes to power in Nigeria, and whatever they do, they go scot-free. Nobody challenges them, nobody tells them anything, because they feel like Nigeria is their own property, and every other tribes or ethnic groups in Nigeria are all second-class fiddle. That's actually the situation of things in Nigeria, and that's why this country cannot go anywhere. This is my own opinion. If you listen to the video, kindly drop what you have to say in the comment section. And if today is your first time to visit our channel, please kindly like, share, and subscribe to our channel.